Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. On behalf of PCRWR, Refined International University, the Asia Foundation and Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, I welcome you all and our esteemed guests to the inaugural session of two-day international conference. Ladies and gentlemen, PCRWR and Refined International University have been organizing this event since past 6 years continuously with support of different collaborators. This year, we are organizing this event with the support of PIDE and the Asia Foundation. Now request Dr. Rashid Aftab, Director, Refined Institute of Public Policy, for a welcome address and overview of the conference.
Assalamu alaikum ji, very good morning, subah khair. To be honest, it's always a pleasure for me to be in PCRW to meet my old colleagues, as well as the much credit goes to the Dr. Ashraf, who is the chairman PCRWR, who believes in the collaboration, who believes in engagements, who believes in supportive, always act as a very catalyst to conduct various activities in context of the water sector. Sir, Dr. so nice of you. Mr. Ahmed Kamal Saab, Chairman Flood Commission, Dr. Mohammad Ashraf Saab, Chairman Pakistan Council of Research and Water Resources, Mr. Fareed Alam Saab, who is Director Programs, Asia Foundation, Dr. Durre Nayab Saiba, Acting Vice Chancellor, Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, and Professor Dr. Saad Zafar Saab, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Refined International University, very dear colleague of mine. Assalamu alaikum. On the behalf of Refined International University, PCRWR, Asia Foundation, and PIPE, I warmly welcome to distinguished guests, presenters, researchers, academicians, water stakeholders, and students in the 2 days 6th International Water Conference. To be honest, the International Water Conference, IWC, has now become a brand and is conducted on annual basis through the mutual collaboration of leading organizations of the country since 2014. The 6th International Water Conference is the output of collective efforts of Refined University, PCRWR, PIDE, Asia Foundation, and the current conference, in accordance with its title or the main theme, is Circle of Blue, Water for Life and Survival, is comprises of 4 sub-themes. Water for all, which means the nexus approach of water, food and energy. Second is water and environment, which consists of water scarcity, wastewater, water recycle, water management, ecosystem, service and sustainability, and the blue economy, which comprises of water economy, water governance, socio-economic development and innovation, and the last one is STO podcast, which consists of climate change, hydroecology, endangered communities and national initiatives. I may also apprise to the audience that the previous 5 conferences were held under the various themes, which were water and 21st century challenges, which was held in June 2014. The second conference was held on water and sustainable development in June 2015. Then it was water scarcity and sustainable growth, which was held in August 2016. Then climate change and disaster risk management for sustainable development and businesses in December 2017. And the last one was held on sustainable water resources management, which was held in January 2019. Today, it gives me a great pleasure and encouragement that in 6th International Water Conference, about 65 scholarly written papers were received by various scholars, researchers, practitioners, and students as well, within and outside the country, which were reviewed by a committee of reviewers accordingly and will be presented today and tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the water sector, I think, is a key pillar for the socio-economic development as well as the dynamic strategy of the country. Water laws, policy and science are interlinked and vital, as well as to address the challenges of developing efficient and equitable water governance system This is essential for our planning process that evidence-based policy frameworks has to be developed in consultation with the water stakeholders. I think the country has already crossed the water stress line in 1990 and the water scarcity line in 2005. If the situation persists, Pakistan could run out of water by 2025. Pakistan ranks third in the water in the world among the countries facing acute water shortage. No person in Pakistan, whether from the north with its more than 5,000 glaciers or from the south with hyper deserts, will be immune to this scarcity. On the other hand, Pakistan has the world's fourth highest rate of water use. No country's economy is more water intensive than the Pakistan. The bulk of Pakistan's farmland is irrigated through the world's largest canal network. Agriculture consumes almost all annual available surface water, which is largely untaxed. And the issue has been intensified by climate change as well as the lack of infrastructure to save flood water. Another challenge is water politics, which we usually talk about it. The impact of water crisis has been immense, and the cities are actually fighting for resources. Around 65% of the water from the Indus and its tributaries flows through Punjab and Sindh, while KP and Balochistan are deprived of their fair share of water. The headworks of the canals from Ravi and Satluj are situated in India. Despite the 1960 Indus Water Treaty, India holds back water during summer. The construction of India's Kashan Ganga project will have a great impact on the country and will speed up water scarcity issue to an alarming level. The groundwater, the last resort of water supplies, is being rapidly depleted. A bigger issue is water wastage that occurs at many levels. It is now for use to direct efforts to save water. Formulation of a national action plans, devising the realistic strategy with the population-based distribution of water, reducing water losses from seepage and controlled drainage of underground aquifers are all steps that need to be taken. It is important to spread awareness among the masses. Recycle at a household level should be done on a daily basis. Rainwater barrels should be exploited. Let me give you a small aspect of the policy versus reality. The country teetering on the edge of the water scarcity out to de-incentivize the growing of water-intensive crops. In practice, this means convincing farmers that they will not hit by financial loss where they switch over to the other crops. The national water policy acknowledged that the irrigated agriculture is the backbone of the economy and consumes around 95% of the water sources. Furthermore, around 1 million tube wells in the country pumps about 55 million acre feet of underground water for irrigation, which is 20% of more than what's available from canals, signaling how highly water intensive agriculture sector. This is all unsustainable. On the other hand, while there is a great water wastage in the rural sector, providing potable water to the cities has become a challenge. One of the more achievable targets set by national water policy is the access to clean and safe drinking water and sanitation facilities for all. Towards the end, that the policy has also urged the promotion of greater urban water management and the revision of urban water tariffs. It also encourages enhancing recovery and reducing system losses, treatment of industrial effluents, and the provision of sustainable supply of water for everyone. But it is still agriculture sector whose water utilizations need to be under microscope. Till now, the policy seems divorced from the financial compulsion of those whose livelihood are associated with the agriculture sector. If the water policy will help address the indiscriminate wastage, this precious resource, but our systems are inefficient. The national water policy does spell a range of issues with respect to the water, but it doesn't detail with respect to the operationalization of that policy. In context with the CPEC, investments are going to increase. The question about how CPEC is going to integrate with water demands, and we should know the supply and demand side as well. There is also a need that the national water policy to be linked with the national, regional, international commitments such as Pakistan Vision 2025, Sustainable Development Goals 2015, Climate Change Agenda, Paris Accord 2015, and a nexus approach of water, food and energy to be adopted. This is very much imperative that the policy decisions at all levels are required to be increasingly multifaceted, especially in the light of the socio-economic and technical reforms, and need to ensure that the decision making contributes to the sustainability of development process. I hope this conference will provide an effective platform to engage eminent scholars, emerging scholars, practitioners, researchers, policy actors, and students to share the knowledge and expertise through deliberations, exchange of ideas, and discussions on their respective topics. Lastly, I am to extend thanks to the paper presenters, Mr. Ahmed Kamal Saab, Dr. Mohammad Ashraf Saab, Mr. Fareed Alam Saab, Dr. Nayab Saiba, Dr. Junaid Memon Saab, Professor Saad Zafar Saab, Mr. Fazanul Hassan Saab, Dr. Hifza Rashid Saiba, Mr. Kashif Saeed, Kashif Zahir, Dr. Musab, and all the team members who have really worked hard to make this event successful. Thank you very much, and Jazakallah khair.
I would like to invite Director Program, Mr. Fareed Alam from Asia Foundation for his address and his organizational perspective on this conference.
I'm pleased to address this opening session. Many thanks go to the Rifai International University, Pakistan Council of Research in Water Resources, and Pakistan Institute of Development Economics for organizing this wonderful conference. I will just second what Dr. Rashid Aftab Saab said, but I will just add the climate change, which is expected to have wide-ranging impacts on this country, such as reduce agricultural productivity, increase variability of water availability, increase coastal erosion and seawater incursion, and increase frequency of extreme climatic events. And if we look to the current trends globally, 2/3 of the world population could face water stress by 2025. Globally, more than 260 watersheds cross the political boundaries of 2 or more countries, representing about half of the Earth's land surface, which we normally call it water politics. This underscores how much water connects us all, but also highlights the potential for conflict and for cooperation. And many natural hazards, including the intensified by climate change, are water-related and disproportionately affect the world's poorest people. And if we look to Pakistan, Pakistan continues to be one of the world's most water-intensive economies, and is currently among the 36 most water-stressed countries. Over 80% of the nation's water supply is currently unsafe. And experts fear, like experts in the Pakistan Council of Research in Water Resources, that this country will run out of water by 2025, as mentioned by Dr. Rashid Aftab Saab. The country is overwhelmed with numerous demand and supply side challenges in the water sector. These challenges exist under an umbrella of governance inefficiencies and are made worse by a steadily rising population and threats of climate change. In a water-intensive country like Pakistan, food and energy security is directly linked to water security. This nexus between water, energy, and food makes an integrated water resource management approach, which is critical to the country's future survival, stability, and security. So the issues are many, but there are much to celebrate, such as I join hands with others in saluting the government of Pakistan for approving the national water policy in 2018, which I can call it as a gift. And the visionary work of the current government, especially in the environment section, such as the Billion Tree Tsunami Project, which was first started in KP and now here at the center, it's a 10 billion tree tsunami project, and the Clean Green Pakistan movement, which is a much appreciated movement to achieve water and climate related goals around the country. The Clean Green Pakistan Index, if you visit the Clean Green Pakistan website, so you will see the index there, which aims to rank cities, tehsils, neighborhoods according to their cleanliness and greenery. And I think this is a very healthy competition which has started in this country. And few months back, the Prime Minister announced some of the good leaders at the cities level. So in July 2014, the UN General Assembly Open Working Group agreed on a proposal for 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which is like a Bible for all of us. And among these is SDG 6 on ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. We appreciate Pakistan Parliament for the adoption of SDGs as its own national development agenda through a unanimous National Assembly resolution in 2016. These accomplishments should inspire us as we tackle the many challenges in the areas of water and sanitation. So we have much to celebrate and we have much to build on. Through a continuous presence and since 1954, the Asia Foundation has a strong legacy in Pakistan. It has been widely known for its contribution to the national capacity of both government and non-government institutions, promoting inclusive programs, especially for women, supporting Pakistan democratic transition, and strengthening citizen-state relations, and expanding access to justice and fostering inclusive development. More recently, the Asia Foundation has emerged as a key partner in the efforts to develop and strengthen system of water governance, increase knowledge uptake in policy process, and create an understanding and a critical mass of informed citizens around the water, energy, and food nexus. An example of this work is the establishment of Water, Climate, and Environment Research Center in Karakoram International University, and the development of national framework for water, energy, food nexus in partnership with the Pakistan Council of Research in Water Resources and provincial governments. So an important objective of this conference, as mentioned by Dr. Rashid Aftab Saab, is to share the excellent work carried out by various researchers and formulate recommendations, not only to look into those researches, but also to formulate recommendations to guide us all as we embark to continue the implementation of the national water policy. There are both successes to build on and big challenges to address. And I am hopeful that under the committed stewardship of all partners and the people present here, this 2020 International Water Conference will succeed in setting us off to a good start. Let me assure that the Asia Foundation is committed to play its part in helping Pakistan to meet the SDG water targets. And we look forward to working with all partners towards that end. Thank you very much.
I will now invite Professor Dr. Nadeem Zafar Sahab, Deputy Vice Chancellor, the Rifai International University, for his address.
Let me begin my talk with the hadith, famous hadith of Hazrat Sa'ad, narrated by Hazrat Abdullah bin Amr, in which it was reported that Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, passed Sa'ad while he was performing wudu. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "What is this extravagance?" Sa'ad radhiyallahu anhu said, is there extravagance with water in ablution? The Prophet said, yes, even if you were on the banks of a flowing river, reported in Sunan Ibn Majah. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged to be part of the 2-day 6th International Conference organized jointly by RIFA, Pakistan Council of Research in Water Resources, Asia Foundation, PIDE. Allah has been very kind in providing us all kinds of natural resources, including water abundance, including abundance of water. We were quite sufficient in our per capita availability during the early decades after independence. However, it has declined 5 times at present. Pakistan's economy is propelled mainly by agriculture and agro-based industry. The era of 60s brought in green revolution along with focused attention to the industrial sector. We, however, in the later decades neglected the basic ingredient on which both these sources were to flourish, and that ingredient is water. We have adopted a fragmented approach, thus hampering the country's progression. With every passing day, the need to build water reservoirs is being felt more than ever. Water availability for agriculture, industry, and even for household is depleting, and it is apprehended that we may become a water-stressed country if remedial measures are not taken. Today, countries around the world have developed plans to cater for their depleting and scarce resources. Pakistan is blessed with confluence of streams and rivers flowing through our land. We have inherited one of the best canal irrigation systems in the world, but we fail to take stock of the situation, as with increase in population, the need for water for cultivable land also increased. The canal system, however, was not expanded adequately to compensate for the new demand. The shortfall was met with ground pumping, resulting in the decrease in the water table across the country, especially in Balochistan. Dr. Saab, if you allow me to digress for a minute from my written speech. I was just last night happened to be reading a book about Balochistan. So there was this gentleman, Sir William Meriwether, at the time probably political agent there. His conversation with Khan of Kalat in 1871, in which he proposes to build Kachi Canal for irrigation of areas in Balochistan up to, I believe, to Dera Bukti. And correct me if I'm wrong, this idea was then implemented in 2002 when Kachi Canal project started, and its first phase is completed, and second phase is just about to start. I just looked up last night. I may be wrong. But obviously, I'm not a technical person in this regard. However, it does highlight that we need to look very closely on what has been debated in the past think out of the box and come up with new creative solutions. So we were, in this case, about 130, 150 years late. I hope in the sidelines of this conference, issues like these and new creative ideas are also born. Today, countries around the world have developed plans to cater for their, Pakistan water storage capacity is limited to only 30 days, which is reducing with time due to sedimentation. In case the new water reservoirs are not constructed, the irrigation supplies would reduce sustainability to the level which we had in the 60s when there were no reservoirs. This situation would create serious conflicts in the society which can only be addressed by taking timely action. There is a need for building of large water reservoirs. The other area of concern pertains to power generation, which serves as a lifetime to the industrial sector of the country. There is an ever widening gap between demand and supply of power generation. This energy shortfall is seriously hampering the industrial growth. As a result, our GDP has been stunted while foreign reserves have depleted. The power generation sector is badly plagued with circular debt, and one of the reasons for this is our over-reliance on thermal rather than hydel means of power production. Pakistan has the potential of generating 40,000 megawatts of hydropower. There is a need of the hour is to shift the efficient and cost-effective means of power generation. Ladies and gentlemen, about 2 million drought-ridden power residents of Tharparkar and Cholistan amplify the human side of the problem. The area represents one of the worst hit regions of the country because of poor water management, and as a result, thousands of children have lost their lives. The situation in Tharparkar is a case, an example of how bleak the things may become in other parts of the country unless adequate water management measures are not adopted. In order to improve the groundwater levels, the recharge of aquifers, we need to build, we need to build more delay action dams. Ladies and gentlemen, provision of safe drinking water is a fundamental right, as is also envisaged in the Constitution. Furthermore, in order to ensure behavioral change, a campaign on water conservation is also required to be developed and launched. Sir, again, with the due apologies, we were in Australia in early 2000s, and it's the driest continent, and most of you would know, on Earth, and they were going through, and they're still going through, the worst drought. When I first hand experienced behavioral change, how they would approach that, every time my wife would be washing dishes, my son, 5-year-old son, would come in running, screaming, "Mama, you're wasting Queensland water." So that is the level that we have to look and explore how they achieve this behavioral and brain wire these conservation ideas into little children. So maybe there are lessons that we may seek from others, and if we look closely. Ladies and gentlemen, I would urge the water actors to adopt world best practices, which include but are not limited to building of water reservoirs and dams, planning for water conservation, water audit techniques, water pricing, enhancing the irrigation efficiency and water productivity, water reuse and recycling methods, satellite telemetry systems for equitable distribution, adoption of drip and sprinkler irrigation techniques for water conservation management. Universities and R&D organizations can play a very important role for conducting evidence-based research. Hence, a close nexus between university, government, and industry is a prerequisite for enhancing the water productivity. On the behalf of RIFA, I am to extend my full cooperation and commitment to this regard. And with a background in software engineering and computer science, we must also explore the areas of technology for improving water management, planning, prediction using AI and data science approaches. And we also, sir, extend that through our Faculty of Computing support to developing new technological solutions based on AI and other data science methods. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that the 6th International Water Conference and its thematic sessions will be informative for the participants, and the deliberations, discussions, analysis, and recommendation may help to pursue a vision of water-secure Pakistan. Lastly, once again, I thank to the paper presenters, RIP RIFA, PCRWR, PIDE, and Asia Foundation, and all the teams member led by Dr. Rashid Aftab. I know that's his passion, and all the other team members from all the organizations. May Allah's blessing be with us all, and may we find strength to harness and efficiently utilize precious water resources. Ameen. Pakistan, Zindabad.
I now invite Dr. Durre Nayab, Acting Vice Chancellor, PIDE, for her address.
It's a great pleasure that Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, commonly known as PIDE, is among the organizers of this very important two-day conference on water. We believe that the conference provides us a great opportunity to come together and deliberate on issues linked to water, its prudent use, and conservation. I'm a demographer by training, and in this galaxy of water experts today, I cannot say much that you do not already know. However, for me, water issues remain of professional interest by virtue of the population and resource nexus. This is what has sensitized me on the importance of water-related issues in general, and this conference in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, water is the building block of all living things, and definitely an issue of human survival. In a hypothetical world without water, human civilization cannot survive for more than 3 days. On a globe that is 71% covered with water, a mere 1% of water remains on humans' disposal. Yet, surprisingly, water is among the most undervalued resource. Coming to Pakistan, we see that water issue in Pakistan is very intricate and multifaceted. Pakistan, a water surplus country on the eve of independence in 1947, is now a water-stressed country. The country's water use is expected to rise by 40% over the next 30 years. While population growth has been one of the biggest drivers behind the stressed waterscape of Pakistan, rapid urbanization and climate change has put further pressure on our water resources and pushing the country towards absolute water scarcity, as our colleagues have already told you. Adding to this is water use efficiency. Pakistan's surface and groundwater use is heavily dominated by agriculture. 4 major crops, namely wheat, rice, sugarcane, and cotton, consume nearly 80% of the water to generate only 5% of the GDP. The economic cost to Pakistan from poor water, sanitation, floods, and droughts are conservatively estimated to be 4% of the GDP, which is around $12 to $14 billion. Virtual water trade is another dimension that problematizes the country's water strategy of investing its limited water on a handful of thirsty crops. There is a need to raise questions. A question like how a water-scarce country can afford to export water-intense agriculture commodities like rice while importing low-delta products such as oilseeds. Universal access to clean water and sanitation remains an issue in Pakistan despite the advancements made in both areas. It is an issue that has a direct bearing on health. How can we expect people to wash their hands and maintain personal hygiene when they do not even have water to drink? We saw this happening during the current COVID-19 pandemic as well, when hand washing became extra important. Ladies and gentlemen, limited water resources are just one aspect of this whole scenario. Another issue calling for attention is that of water governance. This complex and much ignored issue is in severe need of scholarly focus. I hope the current conference would deliberate on the several governance issues that need urgent attention. These include issues like low Abiana charges and collection, participation of farmers and other marginal groups in decision making, equitable water distribution of canals and water resources, groundwater governance and electricity subsidies, interprovincial water disputes, and transboundary issues. These are serious issues having long-term consequences for the country. Transboundary water governance is an issue that involves not only the quantity and timing of water that enters in our system, but also its environmental and political concerns. Environmental impact assessment of future water infrastructures on rivers, threats of climate change, and its impact on watersheds, the burgeoning population in the region, and most importantly, the recent political development in the occupied Jammu and Kashmir and its consequences on the water flows to Pakistan, are just to name a few issues which I hope would be discussed in the current conference. Bringing in the economic perspective, water in Pakistan is an extremely underpriced commodity. The prevailing cost recovery through water charges, Abiana, can meet only a fraction of the operation and management cost of the irrigation infrastructure. We need to talk about measures that we may take to enhance the water charges of agricultural, industrial, and domestic use to a realistic level, a level that meets the operation and management cost of the infrastructure and ensures its long-term sustainability. This conference, I believe, will reflect on all these issues, and I'm confident that the deliberations in this conference will offer pragmatic and practical solution to Pakistan's persisting and potential water problems. Finally, on behalf of the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, its Vice Chancellor Dr. Nadeem ul-Haq, and myself, I would like to extend my best wishes for a successful conference and offer our support in any way that we can. Thank you.